Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for coming for tonight's panel. My name is Julianne Randolph, and I'm the small business librarian here at the San Francisco Public Library. Before we begin, I'd like to offer the San Francisco Public Library's land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the San Francisco Public Library sits on the unceded ancestral territory of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, and we give thanks for our ability to live, work, learn, and build community on their unceded ancestral land. Now on to tonight's program, The Worlds We Built, Resilience, Entrepreneurship, and Belonging. I hope you had a chance to enjoy the marketplace and meet some of our incredible panelists tonight. Tonight's program is inspired by our One City, One Book selection, Dr. Fei-Fei Li's memoir, The Worlds I See, and tonight's program centers the stories of immigrant entrepreneurs, the vision, sacrifice, creativity, and resilience that it takes to build a business in a new land, and the ways entrepreneurship can be a pathway to both freedom and belonging. At SFPL, we believe small businesses are a vital part of what makes San Francisco, San Francisco. They strengthen neighborhoods, preserve culture, create jobs, and build community. And we're honored to host a conversation that recognizes that impact. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight's moderator, Cynthia Huie. Cynthia is a San Francisco small business owner and community leader and the co-founder of On Waverly, a thoughtfully curated shop and creative space in the heart of San Francisco's Chinatown. So Cynthia and her sister Jennifer co-own On Waverly, where they highlight the voices and talents of Asian American Pacific Islander and Native Hawaiian artists, authors, and makers. So I would encourage you to check it out. They do a lot of amazing author events, community events, and they also just have a well-curated shop. It's a space built around storytelling, creativity, and belonging, which feels especially fit for tonight's theme. Cynthia is also deeply involved in civic and neighborhood leadership. She previously served for 8 years as president of the Clement Street Merchants Association, and she is the current president of the San Francisco Small Business Commission. We're honored to have Cynthia guide us through tonight's conversation. So please join me in welcoming Cynthia and our panelists.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Julianne. We don't quite have our timing right with our ins and outs yet, but I'm super excited about tonight. I think it's always a pleasure for me to be able to talk about small business, and my love of small business is really watching generations of families in San Francisco as well as in all of our communities grow, and watching people be able to put kids through school, raise next generations. And so it's an honor for me to be here tonight to really champion small businesses again. I'd love to begin with just, some introductions. I am not great at memorizing things, so I'm going to read off some introductions for our esteemed panelists tonight. I'm super excited because I've checked out all of your spots and been scrolling through all of your feeds, and you have such exciting businesses. We have Wendy Liu. She's a first-generation Vietnamese-American chocolatier and co-founder of Sokola Chocolatier, known for its inventive, award-winning confections that blend Vietnamese flavors with modern craft. Born in a refugee camp in Kuala Lumpur, Liu grew up in the Bay Area, where she and her sister Susan began experimenting with chocolates that tasted like home. Today, Sokola Chocolatier celebrates heritage, creativity, and the immigrant spirit. Thank you very much for coming today. Next we have Jeffrey Demlau, is the owner and head designer of Chartreuse by Roger, a boutique floral studio that celebrates creativity and beauty one stem at a time. Born in the Philippines and raised in San Francisco, Demlau earned a master's degree from Georgetown University and built a successful career in human resources before returning to his lifelong passion for floral design. He is deeply rooted in San Francisco's small business community and actively involved in several local merchant associations. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Next, we have Fei-Fei Li, is the founder of Teranga, a San Francisco-based company inspired by the vibrant flavors and wellness traditions of Senegal, drawing on childhood memories of her mom and grandmother preparing food and drinks from the baobab fruit, the tree of life. Flatley turned a family tradition into a thriving business. Through Teranga, she shares nourishing, sustainable products like her prepared meals, snacks, drinks, and sauces that celebrate culture, community, and connection. Thank you so much. And we have Naz Karam, is a queer Iranian artist, activist, and entrepreneur who founded Arcana, a Mission District gathering space that weaves together art, plants, food, and music. After being imprisoned as a political dissident, Karam sought asylum in the United States in 2009, finding freedom and community in San Francisco. Through Arcana, they create space for connection, self-expression, and the celebration of diverse cultures. Thank you so much, Naz. So this question is actually for all of you. If you could just briefly share with everybody, I think, how you made San Francisco your home.
Oh, okay, but we're going far back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So my parents escaped from Vietnam in 1981. It took them 5 attempts to actually leave Vietnam, and they escaped by boat. And they went to Malaysia. And at that time, my mom was pregnant with me, which is, I don't know, having had children myself, I don't understand how she did that. It's very courageous. And they were in Malaysia in refugee camp, and that's actually where I was born. They stayed there for a year, and then from there, my parents came to the U.S. and in Emeryville. They were sponsored over by my dad's mother, my dad's sister, and they worked there for a little while as a seamstress and a newspaper carrier. And then eventually I came to San Francisco after moving to the North Bay, where in Santa Rosa, where I started my company. So I went to UC Davis and then came to San Francisco for work, and that's how I got to San Francisco.
So my older sister, actually petitioned my mom and dad in the 70s to be able to come to the United States. And so once they were able to get their green cards, they petitioned me and my 2 other sisters, but they were older than me, so it took them about 15 years to get their green card. And since I was about 6, 7 years old, I was able to get my green card right away. So I was able to come here when I was 9 years old. And I lived about a year in Maryland, and then moved to San Francisco. And I've been living here ever since.
And then for me, I came here for school. After watching a lot of American soap operas, like 90210, Beverly Hills, all those things, it really encouraged me that I wanted to come here in the US. And so after I graduated from high school, I begged my mom that I will not go to LA, but then I will go to school for sure and bring your degree. So she agreed and then allowed me to come. I went to Berkeley, and then after Berkeley, I went to USF, graduated in marketing, and then started working in the Silicon Valley. And when the economy shifted, I shifted myself too to look where the American dream would land me, and it was to start my own business. Yeah.
When I was 17, I was a student. There was a uprising called the Green Movement in Iran. Many young people participated in the uprising. I was arrested along with other friends, and after I came out of jail, they put me on a probationary period that if I basically was arrested again for any reason, I had to go serve my time in prison for 3 years. I actually didn't want to leave my country. I loved my country and my people. But it was just my parents were like, you need to not be here during these 3 years. And the government at that time, basically, if you had a record that you've been imprisoned because of political activity, your chances of getting into any university would be next to none. And so there was really nothing I could do about it. And I definitely seek like having a better life somewhere in freedom. I came to San Francisco for school, and honestly, it's funny because very similar to you, we watched a lot of TV. We had like Turkish satellite, and America was having a very glorious moment that we all like wanted to go and follow that dream. But there was a TV character in an Iranian TV series, and this was an uncle in a family. He came from San Francisco in Iran, and he was like the most avant-garde, open-minded. He kind of like it was like not okay yet in the country. It still is not, but he kind of had this annotation of him being a gay man. And so like it always stuck with me and a lot of people in my generation that like San Francisco is the place to be if you're like different or weird or you want to be free and more like open-minded. And so everyone asked me, why did you go to San Francisco? I'm like, honestly, like there was this guy, I liked him, and I applied for a school and got in, and here I am in San Francisco.
Well, I think we're really lucky that we have a reputation for being the place for the weird and the and the creative. So let's start a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about building your businesses. What do you think ties immigrant families in general to entrepreneurship, and specifically to your experience, either growing up in an immigrant family or being or immigrating more recently? Like, what do you think entrepreneurship offers that experience?
I can take this first one. I think that, so for me, my parents came here and I saw them struggle, kind of taking any job that was available to them and being a seamstress and then, delivering newspapers. And that's not why they came to the US. They didn't have money. And so by traditional standards, they also didn't have education. So they didn't have access to a lot. When they were in Vietnam, they grew up in big families. My mom didn't get to complete high school. So, traditionally, by traditional standards, they could not, go get a job at, a company that requires a degree and whatnot. But I think what it is by growing up as a immigrant family, you try to find a better opportunity. You create a new path for yourself, and that's not necessarily that something exists for you. So for them, it was my mom being like, okay, I could keep doing this and I could be making like 5 cents a button, or I could see what other opportunities will, get us off of welfare and be able to, live a successful life in the US. And that was when she talked to her friends, and obviously I'm Vietnamese, and so a lot of Vietnamese people own nail salons, and so they're like, I'm going to get my manicurist license. And she's like, oh, then you can own your own business. Then you see there's, another path to freedom and another opportunity. So I think a lot of it is, creating your own path and, working hard and diligently to find success, whatever that may mean to you. And so I saw them do that. They had nail salons. I would work there and answer phone calls. I would, take off nail polish. That was my life, So growing up in a family that was very entrepreneurial, it just seemed like easy. Like, oh, I'm just going to get a business license. Like, you like to make chocolate? Why don't you start selling it? Okay, I'm going to do that. So it never seemed like it was unattainable to do it. And so I always just took a risk and tried to create a new path for myself.
And then for me, like I can add a little bit to it. Is like I would say that a lot of entrepreneurs come from entrepreneur families, and like where we come from, you have to be an entrepreneur to survive. You just like what Wendy was saying. When our parents came, or ourselves when we came here, we know that we are going to become an entrepreneur because of the background where we left behind. And then the society there, you don't go to school and then just go and work. Usually you have to survive by creating something for yourself. And then that habit that you have and the mindset that you have when you move to a different place, you're like, okay, how do I figure out how to survive and how to pay for my own way as far as living, paying rent and things like that, because you left everything behind. When you come in, you come with a suitcase. All of us that are immigrant, we didn't come with like a container ship full of all of our stuff in there. You just come with a tiny bag. We all relate to that. All immigrants that you talk to will relate to that bringing one suitcase $250. Others will tell you I came with $2. And that $2 fluctuated. For me, it was $256. I'll never forget that because I begged my mom so much to get that, Why $256? Because I bought a sweater when I went to New York, which was my port of entry, and I ended up with $256. And I kept that the whole entire time I was here because I'm like, this $250, I'm going to change it. It's going to be $1 million. I'm not at $1 million yet, but one day I will. So.
I guess mine is a little bit different. As being grown up in Filipino family, one thing that was instilled in my sisters and I is that you have to get your education, irregardless. I know that's a word. So in my mind, as a young person coming to the United States, I knew it wasn't. I didn't know what I wanted to do, first of all. I went through 7 majors in college because I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I wanted to be a shrink, I wanted to be a therapist, and I wanted to be in Broadway. And so I went through all 7, and I graduated in 4 years in SF State. But I knew I had to get an education in order for me to support myself. Not until I went through the motion of getting a job, working for a corporate company and then nonprofit. Until then, I start realizing my passion of what I can actually see myself doing that I'm actually passionate about, regardless if it's gonna make me rich or not. But I know that if I'm doing something that I passionately love, that's gonna come. If people will see that you're passionate about the products you're selling, you'll build loyalty, and success will follow.
Do you think like the experience of coming here with $256 and taking that risk already to come here, leaving a country that you love and moving into a different place, do you think that experience helped maybe fortify you for the risk that you might take on as an entrepreneur?
Definitely. I think just to add to this is like, nothing scares me. Nothing. Yeah. Like literally nothing can make me think like, oh my God, this is something I can't do, because I packed one bag, flew out, had no one and no knew, like didn't know anybody here. And so when you put everything behind your friends, your family, your home, your neighborhood, your trees, your culture, and you come here and you're like, okay, I guess I'm here doing this, like I literally think like nothing can break me or scare me anymore after that.
And I just want to share too that like we have meetings at City Hall for our Office of Small Business, for the Small Business Commission, and I like to think, and I believe that I run probably one of the most touchy-feely meetings at City Hall, where we do end up almost crying at every meeting because we get to listen to so many amazing stories of people who have just tremendous amount of grit and resilience and like belief in what they're doing. And so like right now I'm just like trying to hold it together so nobody knows, but this is like your stories are already incredible and we're only like a few minutes into this. But speaking about how much your personal background kind of comes into play when thinking about what you do each day, how does building a business with community and culture come together for you?
So I can answer that. So my husband and I opened a shop about 16 months ago on Church and Market, where it's been vacant for many years. Post-pandemic, we were hoping that it will revitalize the community, but it didn't. So it was a risk to go to that location, but as a queer person, I owe a lot of my queerness to that community because it gave me the courage to come out of the closet when I was 16 years old. So I felt that I have to give back to my community, and opening up a shop, I'm gonna get emotional. opening up a shop there is it's a way for me to give back. And even though we're a florist, we also offer our space to all of the local artists where we can showcase their arts for free. Unlike most galleries, they'll charge the artist a fee to showcase their pieces. So we want to welcome all of the artists and artisans. So when you do come to the shop, most of what you see are all local artists' work that we are showcasing and selling, giving them the opportunity to be seen and at the same time make money to live here in the city.
You have a question?
Well, I was going to ask you specifically because I do see you oftentimes at like different community events and a lot of, definitely at the City Hall pop-ups. And I know that you partner with a lot of different other businesses and you provide chocolates to many businesses. How do you see yourself fitting into and creating community yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think about my community is it's a lot about food, and that is definitely like the connecting point for everything in any of the community events I do. And for me, it's culture as well, right? So how do I showcase and highlight the Vietnamese culture? And, first of all, usually it's just Asian, but now I'm getting really specific about it being Vietnamese because, we have pho, we have durian, we have all sorts of, interesting flavors. And that's my connector with people is food and specifically through chocolate, a medium that, typically you wouldn't see a Vietnamese person in the chocolate industry. So back when I started, it was 2001. So this year will be my 25th year in chocolate. So we have a big milestone we're celebrating. But, I think that's how we do it with our community connections is through the culture, celebrating Vietnamese and Asian holidays that you wouldn't see with chocolate. So Lunar New Year, I think we were one of the first to start Lunar New Year chocolates maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And we made, chocolates that we showcased during the Lunar New Year festival that, the little tray of togetherness that has like dried coconut and, sesame seeds and all these types of treats. So we showcase our heritage and culture through that. We also have chocolates for the Mid-Autumn Festival, so mooncake chocolate. So we've slowly started showcasing other holidays that you wouldn't associate chocolate with. And by that, we're building community with, different other businesses in the community and like being able to connect that way.
And then for us with Teranga, what we've been doing, not only we do it with food, and we have a brick and mortar at Embarcadero 4, and then doing pop-ups, same as Windy, but then also we've started since last year formally, because we were informal for quite some time, incorporating and involving the youth. We have a nonprofit where we bring the youth, John O'Connell High School kids come, and then other nonprofit organizations, we pair with them, and then they bring us the kids, and then we do culinary art, we do entrepreneurship programs, because a lot of the youth, whether they are like in high school or they just finish high school and graduated, they don't know yet what they wanted to do. And then so I got a chance when I was at USF to do externship and internship to see whether I wanted to be a marketing person or I wanted to work in the Silicon Valley, and I had a chance to work with alumni. But nowadays it's a little bit more different. So I'm offering this space for all these youth. They come and they do 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, and then they come with us and then they watch. I put them up front, they're all on their phone. I'm like, no phones in front of the store. There is no phone. This phone goes in back. I keep hearing their phones beeping left and right, and then they're moving. They cannot stand still. But kind of educate them and teaching them that, like, when you are in front of a store, that's what you do. Kind of teach them those kind of stuff. So that's for us, this extra thing that we do to create community with the youth. Because for me, you start from young, and then to build that community from scratch, from top to the top, that kind of helps a lot. Just like I got corrupted watching 90210 my whole entire life when I was young, so yeah.
For me, I think the first community that I really wanted to take care of was actually the service industry workers, because I am a service industry worker, and I really wanted to take care of people that work for me and, pay everyone, not something that they just survive with, but they thrive and it's competitive. And I think, and on top of finances, also giving them space to be who they are. Like, we have no dress code. You can just exactly come as you are, be who you are. I'm always consulting everyone, like literally from back of house to front of house, in any position, whether leadership or just working customer facing. I constantly consult with all of them, like what type of events should we do? Do you know any artists you want to like have us like have an art show for? And so I just had all my feedback sessions with my staff for 2025, and most of my staff have been with me since we opened in 21, and so 2 to 4 years now. Everyone has been with me, and they all brought up that the most important thing at Arcana that really makes them thrive, and it's their strength, is the community we've built amongst ourselves. And then after that, I'm actually planning for the first time to create a report on this, hopefully by the end of month, so everyone can actually see. But we have supported hundreds of artists, musicians, band members, DJs. We have art shows, farmers, cheesemakers, winemakers, and so when I look at that and see the impact that just one business has on the community of our makers and entertainment and hospitality, it just keeps morphing into more support. It constantly becomes more fruitful. More people get to know each other, and then they build community even if they're not part of it. And that's been like so rewarding for me.
So interesting, because I think oftentimes you think about social good coming from only the nonprofit sector, or other, or even maybe from the governmental sector. And I think small business is oftentimes like the people on the ground. Like I know our shop is on the corner. It's in a corner spot in Chinatown, and we have different community members who even come in seeking help sometimes. And, we're creating programs to kind of think about sustaining the community at large and not just, our customers. Do you think that that's kind of like the future of maybe small business in San Francisco, or how do you see the future of small business in San Francisco really thriving?
I mean, the only way that San Francisco can get back to what we were before the pandemic, it's to go that direction. We have to be a community. We have to reach out, not only just the customers that are come to us on a everyday basis, but also those who are in different places. How do we reach them? By going to networking events. If it's not networking events, inviting them to where you are. And then for me, that's what we're doing by inviting those organizations that support the youth, and then tell them, hey, we have this space. You can have the kids come on Wednesdays when they don't have school, or it's a short day, to come and learn about culinary art, and then learn about customer service, and see if actually they wanted to be a chef or they wanted to work in the culinary world later on. And then that will give them like really a better view of whether they wanted to do front of the house or the back of the house, or they're going to just do customer service, or if they wanted to even study something totally different. So small businesses involving themselves into the community, involving themselves in what the neighborhood where they're in need, will help us thrive even more so, because it will show that big corporations don't always do what they need to do, because they won't know what the small community needs. It's by going smaller, that's when we can really help.
And I think that is kind of like the root of San Francisco.
Yep.
San Francisco, even when I was growing up here, it is all about small businesses. It's all about the little things that matters to them and to their community. And that's why we're so diverse here in San Francisco versus LA or San Diego or any other place in California. San Francisco has always been sort of the trailblazer of doing things that we love and having sort of a reason for it and sharing it with our community. And like I always say, if you build it, they'll come. And I think that's what all of us here have done, is we build something that in our core is what we really love, is our passion, and we're sharing it with our community, and our community is responding back to us. And that's the only way I think that we can sustain this too, is the community also needs to keep supporting small businesses. And that's why there's no Walmart here. Because many, many, many times they tried taking over San Francisco, and the community keeps saying no. We try to stay away from big corporation. Look what they're doing at Union Square with Mayor Lurie, right? Like a lot of those empty buildings are now pop-ups for small businesses, because it's all about the small businesses that creates the identity of San Francisco.
I think also access and resources. So, for example, I worked in management consulting, and I wanted to transition fully over to becoming a chocolatier and owning my own business, but I didn't have the resources. I didn't think I knew where to go to get help on finances or marketing and all these things. And so, by creating different opportunity and spaces for people to come ask questions and things like, for example, Renaissance, that's how I met Nafi. There's different hour consulting sessions, and sometimes a roadblock can be there and you be stuck and you're like, I think I'm done now. But if you go and then someone just like answers a few questions for you, you don't know like how much you're able to help someone in that way. And I love going to community events and talking to other small business owners so I can, lend a hand or provide some advice, because sometimes it's just one sentence like, oh, do this. Have you thought about this? Oh, okay, I'm gonna go work on that. So it's access, it's opportunities, and like finding the right resources for you, because they're everywhere. And someone else has definitely gone through, some similar problem that you have. You just need to like be resourceful and find the person that might be able to help you.
And then, being an entrepreneur is always very lonely. And then, you feel like you're doing everything and you are all by yourself. And then suddenly... Yes, you are. Yes, it's true. And then suddenly, like Wendy said, going to Renaissance events, and then you hear someone complain or talk about their hardships, and you're like, I thought I was the only one that's going through this. And right there, you connect, you share each other what you go through, how you overcome that hurdle. And then those things create community and then helps and support each other, otherwise you could have left a long time. Opening a restaurant in the middle of the pandemic, I was crazy doing that. But 5 years later, I'm still here. And I'm still looking for that $1 million. Converting my $256 to $1 million. I'm still, I think I'm close. And I think Katie will help me with that.
What I'm curious about is also, Jeffrey and I talked a little bit about this earlier, but one of my best friends has just opened a business and is hitting kind of like that wall at about like 2 months, where she's realizing like, oh my gosh, like there is nobody to call to help me, put up this shelf, clean this back room, organize my bills. Like I have to do everything. And on top of that, I have to, take care of my own family and my own needs. And I have to exercise and walk with a walking vest. How do I do all these things? And, we talked about how you hit that wall every once in a while. Have you all, because looking at your social media pages, it looks like it is so wonderful and glorious to open a small business in San Francisco. I do love having a small business in San Francisco, and every day is so easy. But like, are there times in which, it was hard and you were able to kind of, get through that?
Every month is a struggle. You don't know if you're going to make enough to pay the rent. You don't know if you're going to have enough to even pay yourself, let alone, get, supplies, flowers, and stuff like that. So it is a constant battle. But I think, we were talking earlier, sometimes, I'd be working 40 hours within 3 days. But when I finally closed that door and everything is cleaned up and I just stop and look at my shop and I can say, this is what I built, this is mine. I think that is that thing that is so important for all of us business owners to do, to stop and just reflect and appreciate what we've built, regardless if we're at the 1 million mark or if I only have $300 in my bank account. Knowing that I built this, tomorrow will be fine, right? I think you need to have that positive affirmation to yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you. but you have to keep doing that. And you need to go back to the root of the reason why you decided to open up a business. Sometimes we get lost into all the necessities of things and the struggles, and then you're working 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, that you lose sight of why you started doing this from the beginning. But I think if we just stop and pause and reflect, then we can get that courage and that sort of that energy back. Because there's been some times where I'd call my husband. Well, he still gets to keep his job because we need health benefits. Because God knows it's so expensive for small businesses to own health insurances. And, sometimes I'd call him and I would just break down crying. I was like, I think I'm done. I think I don't want to do this anymore. It's like I keep pushing, thinking, what will people want? What should I do next? And we do it, and then no one shows up. And I was like, okay, I thought it was a great idea, but no one showed up. But I need to do something else. So, and sometimes you're just like, just stop. It's like, okay, don't rush the process. Learn what happened and learn from that. There's a missing ingredient that we didn't do for that particular event. So what is it? And then let's try again tomorrow. And then hopefully the next round we'll have 20 people. And the next round we have 30 people. And that's what happened with Castro Art Walk. Since we've started the Castro Art Walk, we were kind of nervous because we're kind of technically outside of Castro because we're in Church and Market. We're at Dubose Triangle. And so when we got added, we were the first stop. We have about 17 artists represented in our shop. So when we started hosting it every first Friday, we had about 10 people coming in from 5 to 8. I was like, oh, okay, this is good. And then it's like, there's been some Fridays where 2 people showed up. It's like, okay, we'll just keep doing it. And then 3rd, 4th month, we start seeing 100 people. We start seeing, because then you have to really be social. You really have to be active in your social media. I think that's a good free marketing for all small businesses. And then now we have 300 people that shows up at our Castro Art Walk every month. So it's persistence.
Being consistent is so important. Like literally, like first day, second day, like you just need to keep doing it. And I think for me, when I compare how I feel now when something goes wrong or something is not going the way that it should, first year, I literally used to, like, I never let anyone see it except my partner, but I used to just have complete nervous breakdowns because I also was working like 12 to 16-hour days. But I would just have nervous breakdowns and like think this is like the end of the world. And now like 4 years later, way major things happen, and this is a much bigger ship to, navigate now. But it's like almost like your brain gets trained, and then now instead of like having a panic attack, I'm just like, oh well, we're gonna be problem solving this one. It's gonna be okay. Like literally, it's like we'll be fine. This is gonna pass as well, and being consistent. And just repeating and keep learning the skill of not having a panic attack. It's very important.
And I do agree with that too, being consistent, and then just, for me, I always try to find that light at the end of the tunnel. What brought me here first? Why did I come in this country? The reason why I came is to become successful and to live that American dream. And I always tell people, like, having my restaurant at Embarcadero 4 has been a dream come true, because I used to see Embarcadero 4 in movies. And when I saw them in movies, there was this even coffee company that used to have the Embarcadero and then the Golden Gate in this coffee. Do a raffle, and then at the end you win. And I'm like, hey, one day I'll go to San Francisco one day. And when I first had my restaurant being right there, and I'm like, that's not possible that I have my restaurant right here at Embarcadero 4, because I only saw it on movies. And so now every time I stand there and I'm like, just work hard, it's gonna be hard, but just keep going at it. Know the purpose, the reason why you are here. You are, first of all, here. We are immigrants. You left everything behind and you came here to be successful. You came here to showcase your culture. You came here to share with people your culture, your what you believe in. And so if you just think about that, anything that's difficult, you can overcome it. You will overcome it always. Yeah, that's what my mom said.
Oh, it's so interesting, like, because, yeah, San Francisco is such a magical place, right? Like, I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area, but, like, even for me going into Chinatown each time, I'm always like, oh, my God, I'm, like, you know, on vacation, or is this a dream? Like, what is happening? It is a very cool place to, you know, kind of put a stake in the ground and, like, really care about. So, you know, going back to this concept of freedom, I mean, I think, you know, somewhere along the line, like for me, my parents and grandparents and great-grandparents came here looking for kind of like the ability to have movement in their life, the ability to kind of dream something and make it happen. How has this concept of freedom now become like embodied in your work? Because as an entrepreneur, do you feel like, you know, do you feel a sense of freedom? Because, I mean, there are a lot of things to worry about, but at the same time, for some reason, it feels manageable because there is some sense of freedom. Has that been something that you've experienced?
I guess you have to be careful what you ask for, because sometimes, you know, once you jump into becoming an entrepreneur, you do have a complete freedom, but that freedom is not guaranteed a paycheck. So you can have all the freedom you want, you can do whatever you want in your business, but if you're not generating profits, then you're gonna have to close down and you're gonna have to go back to your working. And so that's what I was sort of, you know, when I told my family that I was opening up a business, knowing that I had a very successful job with UCSF, you know, my sister was like, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, you've worked so hard to get where you are in your career and you're there. Why do you want to give that up? And to do something that you even know if you're going to be successful. And I think that kind of questioning was healthy for me, because it made me really think hard and deep. Okay, it makes sense. That is the reality of it. Am I ready to face that when it comes? And knowing that it will come, am I strong enough to overcome it? And I think that, you know, having a good partner in life helps that, overcoming those situations. But just sort of at the end of the day, as long as you're true to yourself and you're true to your passion, I think that, you know, it's all going to work out. And, you know, I'm not looking to be a millionaire right now, maybe in 3 years. But, you know, it's good to have a projection of what you want to aim for, but also be realistic that, okay, maybe I thought I was going to get there in 3 years. Maybe it'll take 5 years or 10 years. But it's good to have that sort of trajectory to aim for.
I think for me, like, I think for entrepreneurship, for me, there's a balance between like stability and risk. And I think that's something that people mistake entrepreneurs for, is someone who is like, takes crazy risks and does like wild things and like lives on the edge. But for me, it's all about like making sure it's calculated and safe and stable. So there's always going to be a baseline, like, okay, are we profitable? You know, I have not just me now, I have employees and I have 2 locations, right? So I have to make sure that everything's covered. People do have their hours and all that. But in my freedom, I get to, you know, I can be at this location or that location, and I figure out how I spend my time, which freedom is also bad, because if you have too much freedom, you're like, I'm just going to lay down because I don't know what to do, right? So it's, you know, figuring out like what what your ultimate goal is for like short term, like a week or a month, and long term for the year, and being able to execute that, and just constantly checking yourself. And there's the element of consistency in repeating things, but also being the level and comfortable with change, because with entrepreneurship, lots of change, everything, no day is the same, I would say. And being able to, quickly rebound from something, handle a problem, and not lose your mind, and being able to be calm and collected and calm in a situation is very key in being an entrepreneur.
I think waking up each day and having a plan for your day, of course, but not always knowing what is going to be in your inbox or who's going to call you and want to do something together, or what opportunity will come along is really exciting. Sometimes we have challenging surprises, like, oh no, we don't have power today, which it has happened recently. But I think, but on the flip side, it's kind of really amazing, cool things could happen. What are some of the really cool surprises that have happened recently for you?
Okay, let's see. For me, I've gotten a lot of certificates through the city. I got one from Scott Wiener not too long ago. I got one from the mayor. I got one from Joaquim Torres. The list goes on, and I'm displaying them all at the restaurant. If you guys want to see them, come for Embarcadero. Seeing all these things, and then being nominated Entrepreneur of the Year by Renaissance, and then suddenly seeing my name on New York Times, I'm like, oh my God, this is not possible. And, San Francisco State, all these news outlets mentioning you, showing that you are doing something right, just makes me feel really good. It's those accomplishments. And then the other thing is coming up with recipes that have nothing to do with Senegal. It's all my creation, just like Wendy, we just, you come up, it's your culture, but yet it's your own invention. And then what is that actually is? It's your immigrant mindset. You use that to come up with something. I'm between two worlds. I'm from Senegal. I'm also from the United States. But I combine these two cultures to come up with some dishes that are me, with this new world that I call home, and that makes me really like a proud immigrant being from here. Those things, every time people come in and say, this is not Senegalese, I'm like, well, it's Afro-Senegalese. Or I say, American Senegalese, however I'll call it on the moment that I talk to them. I say, I just mix different things that are my culture, what I found here. I have this this dish that we make in the morning, we call it africado. It's africado, it's a toast. And we have a jam that we make with, it's a jalapeno jam and onions. And then we put, you can do it vegan or non-vegan, and then we have fried eggs on top. And then we make a special sauce that we put in there, and it's all my own creation. There's no such thing as africado toast. But it's me who created it. And there is another dish that we made called the pizza polar. And that's a combination of the 3 different regions that I'm from, my mom, my dad, myself, and then here, Africa, California, avocado, everybody likes avocado, so I had to add that to it too. So, all those things really makes you proud and makes you feel like, you want to come up with this creation. And it's just who you are. Once you become an entrepreneur, you just become very creative of a person. So, yeah.
Well, we haven't quite make it to that level of yours, but I think for me and my husband, I think to this day, we've been open 16 months now. Random people from the community walks in and just thanks me. I'm by myself Tuesday through Thursday, and from 10 to 5, and I have had so many amazing interactions with people just walking in, surprised to see a business opened in that block, whether they used to live in that neighborhood or they're just now visiting for the first time, and just thanking me for creating the space. I think at the end of the day, there's not enough money to feel that sense of appreciation and gratitude that your community, why I built this is for you, and you're actually coming back and saying thank you, and I really appreciate it. I was inspired by something that I saw in your shop, and now I am now an artist, and now I've motivated myself. I've been wanting to do this, and now I'm shifting my career, and now I'm going to pursue something that I've always wanted to do, and you kind of gave me that courage, and that, I think, that is really why I'm doing it, to really inspire people to do what they love, and hopefully make money while doing it.
Something that happened that's a surprise is I've been wanting to open a second business, since June 2003, and somehow it has not been happening. Like, I can't find the right place, or the negotiations with the landlord don't work. And just this past October, I was able to find a lease. And the location and where it is and how this building is like so magical, and it's exactly what I wanted it to be. So that's been amazing. And this is actually really my first time like talking about it in public, that we're opening a second business. But ever since this has happened, so many of my team that have been there have stepped up and said, like, we want to help you, we want to do this, we want to grow with you. And it's just been like series of promotions, and that I'm just so grateful for everyone, because usually it's not easy to go through transition, or like suddenly the business owner who's been there all the time is like not so available because they're focused on the second location. And so just the support that I've received from my team has been incredible. And one of the surprises was, so I've been running the kitchen program and like the food menu myself, and I actually have zero like background in making food completely. It's because I wanted to have a wine bar and like throw parties, and because of the type of licenses that the city, it was possible in 2021, we kind of like were like told that like, no, you need to have like food. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, I'm a good cook at home, but I have no idea how to deal with it. But then I figured it out, and I ran the kitchen, and it's been a blessing, honestly, because I didn't realize how much I love like making food and like coming up with, I'm like, oh, like this is my creation. And so I started looking for a chef for the first time for Arcana, and super magically I found a chef now. She's a Salvadorian, a black chef, highly skilled person. She's been so incredible, like seeing, because I told her like I really want to have like still like have Middle Eastern food that's inspired by like Iranian food, or honestly any other country within the region, but she didn't have that background. But it's been such a huge surprise to see like when you have the skill and the passion and you know how things work, you can take ingredients and create magic. And she's having so much fun with it, and I'm just like having this awesome footage. She's like feeding everybody every day. Like everyone, like company morale has gone so high up since she came on board. And so that these two have been amazing surprises in the last 3 months.
Oh, I can't think. I mean, I'm trying to think of things, but just getting through the holiday was a big special thing for me, because I know that's like the busiest time of year is kind of like October, November, December. And so, just getting through that, I mean, kind of in a blur right now, but
well, you produced like what, 10,000 pieces of chocolate
in a day. Yeah, in a day. So I mean there's like a couple lead up days to it, but 10,000 in one of the days. And so just being able to supply the airport, and honestly the biggest accomplishment for me is opening up the airport location, which will be 2 years in July. So that was a huge moment for me, having, come from Malaysia to the US and like landing at SFO and then one day having a business in the airport. So I'm so thankful for that every day, and also for my team that, runs the kitchen now, because I'm, doing other things. But some people for 2 years up to like 11 years have been working with me. So I'm very thankful for that, and just celebrate that really every day to allow me to, grow the company and do other things too.
It's super amazing. Like I think about how big these dreams can get, and yet like how real and close they are. It's so amazing. While you were talking, this is not something I planned on thinking about, but while you were talking, I was thinking about this post that our mayor, Daniel Lurie, put up recently about films in San Francisco, and how San Francisco would be a fantastic backdrop for like films. And I'm like,
Exactly.
we have like 4 amazing stories already, right, that would make amazing films that I would definitely watch. So thinking a little bit about, the future and legacy. I know, Jeffrey, you've already touched upon this, maybe for the entertainment and the food industry as well, and your culture specifically. What would you like to see as a legacy from like your business for others to be able to take on?
So I have 16 staff now working for me. All of them are either immigrants, women, or queer and trans folks. As I said earlier, like me taking care of them, I want to be able to see all of them grow and get uplifted, whether they're at Arcana or this is like beyond their time at Arcana or this is 20 years from now. I want to see them thrive and go out and like do the same thing and like keep, uplifting these 3 categories of people, and really making them more powerful so we can all feel better, like about what we do every day and what we're contributing. The service industry, it has its like pros and cons. I think there's like many like creatives, there's many career-minded people that go into this industry. And I think like the creatives, we've been losing a lot of artists and creatives in the city as well. And I think it's so important that the service industry will support them and give them like room and that freedom that like the other 3 days, 2 days, 4 days a week that they're not in the service industry, they can also just like work on their creative like careers. And so like as they grow, like whichever direction they go, whether it's the entertainment or the service industry, they bring like a positivity with them that they carry forward and pay it forward to other people.
I would say I actually would quote my old boss, another Filipino HR person at USASF, and if you guys know USASF, to be Filipino and female and to have a leadership role is very, 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 very difficult. And so she had always told me that, always focus on your low-hanging fruits. And so how I'm taking that and how I would like to sort of to move forward is that I want to focus on revitalizing church and market, that neighborhood. And so if that means I can open up another shop next door to do a plant store and cafe and to have a lounge, then that's something that I want to do to encourage other small businesses to partner with me, because it's something that will help them, people that are living in the community. So one of the things that we're actually working on starting next month is we want to to do a German-style Christmas market on Church and Market. So that's going to involve the entire community, not just Castro and Church, but Hayes Valley, Mission, Valencia, all the small businesses to be able to have a Christmas market on Church and Market this coming Christmas. So all of you, I would love to encourage all of you to support that. And if you are small businesses or thinking of it, let us know.
And how many people in here actually have small businesses of your own? Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Congratulations. You should all be here as well. Let's see. How about we'll do a couple of quick lightning questions. What is like in a sentence or so, like what is your hope for 2026? That's like a huge question in a lightning round, but what do you, like maybe something simple like is there a celebrity that you would totally love to come into your business? Like if this person came into your business, like you would just be like, oh my God.
Yeah, Taylor Swift.
Okay, let's all make that happen. We're all working collectively right now to put this up into the universe. Okay, Wendy, your celebrity favorite?
I think Steph Curry should come to my shop. Yeah. That'd be good.
Yes. Okay.
I was going to say the same thing because I have 3 boys and they play basketball and they love Stephen Curry. At my restaurant, you have the Warriors hat. I mean the Warriors flag.
Yeah.
And we have Festus Azili already came there and said that we have the best jollof rice. So, well, everybody better follow up and come over. And then we have the 49ers playing. So, okay, yeah. I will now I'm a 49. Well, I've always been a 49ers fan. This last weekend, I wore a hat. I was jumping around the house. Finally, I understood the game, how it works. Oh, God. I've been here for 20 years. I finally understand why they go 10 yards. I told my husband, why they don't just run and then just kick the ball to the goal? Why they don't do that? It's so easy. I can do that. He said, okay, well, fine. Yeah, just sit down. Just keep learn the game. So rolling for maybe someone from the 49ers to come over this time. Yeah.
Okay.
And won the Super Bowl.
No celebrities. We don't think about celebrities. We're not concerned
at all. I don't.
Artists, community leaders.
Yeah.
Honestly, since there's a revolution happening in my country right now and Iranians are banned from coming to this country, I would say any Iranian celebrity in 2026 would do, because it means that the revolution did happen and now there's no ban, so they can come visit us.
Yeah.
That's a very smart answer. I like
Or like Johnny Depp would do too.
Ooh.
Oh, Johnny Depp.
Now
yes.
we're talking
Come
now.
to San Francisco.
Johnny
Visit
Depp.
all of our businesses.
My childhood celebrity favorite. Do we hate him now?
I'll still go with Taylor Swift.
Oh. Okay, Taylor Swift and Johnny Depp. They'll have to make a trip.
Actually, my husband's mom did something very sweet last Christmas. I could swear she should be working for FBI or CIA. So she was able to find artists' email, and she sent them all an email from a mother saying that my son and his husband just opened up a flower shop in San Francisco in Castro, and I would love for you to just go in and just show your support. You don't even have to buy anything. And she curated this amazing email, and she sent them all out to them. And she got an email back from Jelly Roll, was it? Yeah. So I thought that was kind of very sweet. So you were asking about that. So I'm still waiting for him to, he responded. It's like, I'm going to work with my marketing team, social team, because that's all we all need is just for them to show up and like take some photos. And then next thing you know, you'll have a line through the door. And can you imagine if I have Taylor Swift do a short concert in our backyard?
Well, I think I sent out some questions earlier, and my last question really is, like, in one sentence, what gives you hope for the future? And so hopefully, you can go with that, or you can go with just a last minute kind of like thing that you'd like to share with everybody, knowing that there are many entrepreneurs in this audience today. What would you share with them?
That San Francisco will always have the space for small businesses to be able to open here without the fear of having to worry about rent and being able to pay our rent monthly. So we can just focus on doing what we love to give to the community.
I think everyone wants to belong, and there's a space for everyone, whether that be a business or to be yourself, in what, just your everyday life. And in small business, I think, oftentimes you have to decide between stability and taking risks. But I hope that, the future generation, can find that balance and figure out, if they want to celebrate their culture or heritage, that they can do that. And it's not a this or that situation, and you can balance it out and, figure out how you can, be your personal self and also showcase your heritage or your true self or however you want your business to reflect, and there's space for everyone.
This question was very important for me when I read it. I was like, wow, I need to really think through it, and I have it written down, so I'm going to read it so I don't paraphrase or speak French in the end. So what I said was that as a Senegalese American, what gives me hope for the future of immigrants is seeing our children grow up proudly carrying both their roots and their dreams, turning stories and survival turning stories of survival into stories of leadership and creativity and community. That's really what how I'm seeing the future, because I have kids and I really would like for them to understand where I'm from originally, and then be able to add those with their own dreams, and then come up with something that will allow them to always cherish each other, always cherish the community, where they're from, where they're heading, and then never feel scared or nervous about anything, because they are the first generation. They are after us. They belong here. They don't belong where I'm from, because this is where they were born and raised. Truly, so yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
I think I want to end with saying that one thing I had community, I had people, I had support, but somehow I had this fear in me that when I do it, people are not going to show up, no one's going to come, or who's going to help me, or what if I have some questions. And one thing I definitely learned in the last 4 years has been that there are so many more people that are willing to actually show up for you and support you, meet with you and answer your questions, show you resources, show you the path. And I think for me, one specific moment that I felt so much better about being a business owner, especially just because we opened in the middle of the pandemic and it was just very chaotic times, and I feel like no one was really mentally doing okay, honestly, including myself, was reaching out to different city organizations, like the Small Business Office, the different associations like Golden Gate Restaurant Association. Once I reached out to them, I don't think I realized how much they actually want to help, just because I personally had a specific kind of perception of the government, just because I went through so much paperwork, and opening a business was just so insane and draining and exhausting that I almost lost my faith in the local government. But then connecting with the Small Business Office was just so wonderful. Everyone was so nice. And to this day, the reason that I'm sitting on this panel is because they introduced me. And so reach out to people, reach out to your organizations, reach out to your city, the supervisor, like anyone. And then out of like 50 people you reach out to, there will be like 5 people that will definitely be there for you. And that's actually all you need to feel better and get the help and support that you need.
I think that's really important. And thank you. Thank you to the Office of Small Business. Just a little plug. Director Katie Tang is here. She's helped all of us in many, many ways. So thank you very much. So, yes, you deserve a round of applause. I think, I think we're ready for a little Q&A. I think we're going to wake everybody up in the room, turn on the lights. I see you all now. Does anybody have any questions for our panelists tonight? Yes, I think Julianne has a mic for you.
Thank you all so much for this panel. I have a small business too, and I'm curious if you have any like mindfulness practices or like spiritual practices that kind of help you deal with the unknown, not knowing when you're going to get that email or that phone call or, just the stresses that can come up with a small business.
Gossiping and venting with people around you. Very, very helpful.
Most effective.
People you trust, you can say anything to. Yep. Just call them up, gather people around and vent. Yeah. It's the only way to go about it.
My husband and I will always joke. What I do, he says, like when I'm too stressed or something is going on and too much going on, he said, "Where are you going?" I say, "I'm in the bathroom talking to my manager, venting and just saying all things." You can scream, you can yell, nobody's going to say anything to you. You can just go talk to your manager when you go in the bathroom and talk to yourself.
So my husband and I have this understanding that as soon as we get home, we turn off our phones. No more emails, no social media, nothing. It's just to unplug and open up a good bottle of Bordeaux and smoke a good weed. And we are in San Francisco. And just really relax. And because you need to find the things that works for you, right? And for me, weed, cigarettes, and wine, and not having to think and talk and plan. It saves me every day.
And before we move on to the next question, do you mind sharing what business you have? I love plugging everybody's business. So.
Sure. So I make podcasts for organizations, especially nonprofits.
What? Okay, we know where to go to.
We have a category now in Golden Globes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, how you guys doing? Thank you for having this. So I'm really passionate about small businesses. I have a project that I work on trying to help small businesses. I'm curious, how you guys find artists to collaborate with? Like, is there like a central place to find them? How do you guys reach out to them? Where do you find them?
So we do have a lot of artists, and a lot of it was really via Instagram and Facebook. We post a lot of our new artists all the time. We encourage them to post, and so and also because of the Castro Art Walk, we do get a lot of artists walking into the shop and really getting the vibe. And then once they come to me, it's like, "Hey, I'm an artist. I would love to showcase your pieces." So it's like, "Well, why don't you come in when it's not crowded? We'll open up a bottle of wine and and see the theme, and just get the vibe of the space, and then we'll talk about your pieces, and if it so we have a French room, we have an Art Deco room, we have a Secret Garden room, and we have a mid-century room. So each of those rooms is going to have its own type of art. interpretation. So that's why we're able to accommodate as many artists. But a lot of it really is just to talking in person and just having a dialogue and just seeing like what your vision is and what your interpretations are.
For us, we have every 1.5 months we have a new art show, and so there's one of my staff helps me as a curator. She's an awesome artist herself, and so she's super connected to the artist community, especially the local artist community. But we also go to like Castro Art Walk. We do go to different art walks and like network and connect with people. And also a lot of artists reach out to us themselves since we started the art program.
I'd add something. My answer is always going to be food, although I like wine too. But going out with friends and meeting new friends in the community, finding other businesses that are like-minded, or specifically Vietnamese. So during COVID, I was like, where are all the Vietnamese people at, or Vietnamese artists and business owners? And so I actually looked for them and reached out to them to connect. So just a lot of community events, and some people will find us. Yeah, we did make chocolates for the Warriors too, so they found us. Yeah.
Yeah, I do find that cultural communities are really helpful. Generally, they're like really tight networks, and so like different intersections are really helpful.
I'm kind of working on that and would like to get your thoughts on it.
Great,
Later.
thank you so much.
We have time for one last question.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing, everyone. To plug an event that is happening in July, I met a woman in volunteering for another art community, and she gathered, they've actually been working on this for like 10 years, but in July, the U.S.'s 250th birthday, they're throwing a festival in San Francisco. So if you search on Instagram, it's called The Future of Us, and they are looking for folks to be a part of it, artists, exhibition, whatever you want it to look like. They're just reaching out to the community. But my question for you is, since we are all immigrants here, do you, for your outsourcing or your ingredients or anything, do you reach out to your community back home at all, or is there any connection that you have to your homeland? And then how do you navigate, consciously, like outsourcing any type of work or including your community there?
Yeah, I have an import-export certification, and so I use very unique products. Baobab, I'm not sure if I use baobab, which is this huge, big tree. If you watch Lion King, that's where Rafiki was doing her prophecy, trying to find Simba. Let's do some Broadway show right now. But that's the tree. So I get the baobab tree as one of the main ingredients that I use. And it only grows in sub-Saharan Africa, all the way to Madagascar and a section of West Australia. And I also use moringa. I use tiger nuts, tamarind, ginger. So all these products are not native to the United States. So I need to figure out how to get them elsewhere. And so it's what ties me to it. That's how I kind of try to bring them. Sometimes if I cannot do it, we have this umami flavor of some of our dishes. So if I cannot make it, just creation, stay in the kitchen long hours and came up with it. Make my own fish sauce, just because I cannot get the type of fish cod that I need to let it age and be buried into the sand for days to make it stink, and then people say it smells bad. You put it in the food, they're the first to eat it, So it's just like those kind of stuff that, sometimes you just become very creative and then you came up with it here locally, but then a lot of the product ingredients, I get them from Senegal, and then sometimes also I go to food shows. When San Francisco used to have the fancy food show, hopefully, a plug, can we have it back to in San Francisco, please? I don't want to go all the way to Las Vegas. Yeah, it moved to Vegas. It was really a fun place to go and meet really a lot of different places that you can, outsource your product and then contact with different suppliers. And so I was able to connect with other suppliers who actually bring the baobab fruit here. And then so I have a supplier that supplies me baobab from South Africa, because it grows once in the upper hemisphere and one in the lower hemisphere, and I get it from him. And then another woman that I met also there during the Fancy Food Show, and then she also gets it from Senegal, in the west part of Senegal. And moringa I'm able to get in South America in different places. And so, yeah, just doing those things that kind of helped and allowed us to bring some of our ingredients closer. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our vases, we like to pride ourselves that we like to curate them where you would not find them anywhere else. And a lot of it is word of mouth, people that are coming into the shop, seeing a piece of vase, and was like, oh my God, I have a friend of a friend of a friend in Philippines that does very similar things. It's like, oh my God, connect me to them. I think that is the best way to meet other artists that makes unique vases, because right now I can't quite fly all over the world yet because I haven't made my $1 million. But in time, word of mouth, and I do a lot of social media. So as I'm scrolling, when someone's posting a vase that they're making that took them like 3 months, I follow them and then I connect with them, and that's how we met a lot of the artists too. We have this queer artist that specifically does this very wonky vases with handprints, and so I've been connecting with her for a long time, and she finally got back to me. So she actually has created about 5 pieces that's currently in our shop, or 4 now because one is sold. But yeah, word of mouth, social media.
I believe there are many, many people out there that want to start a business, but they always kind of feel like they have to prepare for it and they have to be ready for it completely in order to actually go into it and do it. Do you really think there is a line where you would say that you're ready for to start a business, or you should just go for it?
Business plan. Yeah. Create a very strong business plan.
Yeah, and I think my answer might be to just go for it.
Go for it. Yep.
It might be, I don't think you're ever really ready for it.
Yep.
I think what you do is you kind of put yourself in a situation where you have to take that next step. So it's kind of like, okay, now I have this idea. Well, what do I do next? And then you keep following this breadcrumb trail, and the business plan may be the next thing, and you're like, okay, well, what do I do after that? And once you kind of, I think for many of these, these journeys, what I've heard is really that you don't know exactly what tomorrow is going to be. You can plan and learn to navigate as best as you can, but part of the gift is also not knowing exactly when you're going to have a shop in SFO, or if this person is going to walk through the door, and that will continue. So the best thing to do is just start today, and then you just keep going with it, because the next step will appear.
And find your niche. Find your niche and then do some research. Is your niche everywhere else? Is everyone else doing your niche? And if they are doing it, then find a niche that makes you different, because at the end of the day, what makes you successful is what makes you unique, right? So find your niche and then build around that.
And then if you feel that gut feeling that's hurting so bad, you are doing something right. That's that fuel that gets you going. It should get you going.
Well, thank you very much to our panelists. Thank you very much, Julianne, for curating tonight's talk and really having a vision for this and tying it back to our book, for the year, and also to the SF Public Library staff and team. I'm super excited to have this available for many entrepreneurs who perhaps couldn't make it today because they're working. But, I appreciate that this is out there and we got to share all of your stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you.